The wind howled across the barren plains of West Montana as dusk settled, painting the sky with bruised shades of purple and gold. A lonely dirt road cut through the valley, leading to a small cluster of houses that looked as tired as the people who lived in them. In one of those homes, a crumbling old farmhouse at the edge of the valley, a young woman sat on the cold floor, her body trembling, her heart broken beyond repair. Her name was Clara Mae. Her in-laws had once called her the city girl with useless hands, mocking her for not being born into farm life. But what they did that morning went beyond cruelty. It was pure humiliation. They had dragged her out into the yard, shouting that she was a disgrace, accusing her of dishonoring their family because she couldn't bear a child. The old mother-in-law, a bitter woman hardened by years of misery, handed a pair of shears to her sons and told them to shave Clara's hair, saying that if she couldn't give life, she didn't deserve to wear her crown. And as the rusty blades scraped across her scalp, Clara felt every snip tear through her soul. When it was over, they laughed and left her there, stripped of dignity, covered in dust and tears. She wanted to scream, but the sound wouldn't come. The wide, endless silence of the land swallowed her pain, leaving her trembling in the twilight. She looked at the reflection in the broken window pane, her hair gone, her eyes hollow, and she didn't recognize herself. She whispered through cracked lips, "Why, God? What did I do wrong?" There was no answer, only the distant cry of a coyote and the creaking of the windmill by the barn. Clara gathered what little strength she had left and walked toward the dirt road barefoot. She didn't know where to go, but she knew she couldn't stay there. Behind her, her husband didn't even come out to stop her. He stood on the porch, arms folded, watching like a stranger watching the weather, cold and unmoved. That sight burned into her memory. It was the moment she realized she was completely alone. She walked for miles under the darkening sky until her knees gave out by the roadside. Dust clung to her skin and her head ached with shame. She buried her face in her arms, whispering to herself, "I can't do this anymore." But then came the sound of hooves, the slow, steady rhythm of a horse approaching from the hills. She lifted her head, and through the dim light, she saw a man riding a tall brown stallion. His coat was worn, his hat low over his brow, but his eyes were sharp, and there was something about the way he looked at her, not with pity, but with recognition. He stopped the horse beside her and dismounted. "You lost, ma'am?" His voice was deep, rough like gravel, but gentle. Clara tried to answer, but her throat felt dry. "I know home. They threw me out." The man's jaw tightened as he noticed her shaven head, the bruises along her arms, the torn hem of her dress. He didn't ask any more questions. He just knelt down, pulled off his coat, and draped it over her shoulders. "You're freezing. Where do you live?" She shook her head, tears spilling again. "Nowhere." He studied her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he said in a tone that brooked no argument, "You're coming with me." Something in his voice, firm, sure, protective, made her heart stumble. "I can't," she whispered weakly. "You don't even know me." The man met her eyes and said, "Don't need to. I know what it's like to be left with nothing." He helped her onto his horse and climbed up behind her, wrapping one arm around her to steady her trembling frame. The warmth of his body and the steady beat of the horse's hooves lulled her into a daze. The world blurred around her, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel fear. She felt safe. They rode for an hour until they reached a small cabin tucked deep into the mountains, surrounded by pine trees and the quiet hum of crickets. Smoke curled from the chimney, and the faint scent of wood and coffee drifted through the night. "This is my place," he said simply, dismounting and helping her down. "Ain't much, but it'll keep you warm." Inside, the cabin was simple but clean. A fire crackled in the hearth. A kettle whistled softly on the stove, and a quilt lay neatly folded on the bed. Clara stood by the fire, her eyes glistening in the light. "Why are you helping me?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The man stirred the fire with a poker and said, "Because once someone helped me when I didn't deserve it. Guess I owe the world that much." He extended his hand. Name's Jonah Walker. Rancher up in the High Valley. She hesitated, then took his hand. Clara Mae, she said softly. Clara Mae what? He asked. She swallowed hard. Doesn't matter anymore. They took that from me too. Jonah nodded slowly, not pushing further. Well, Clara Mae, you're safe here. Nobody's going to hurt you again. That night she slept by the fire, wrapped in Jonah's old quilt, listening to the rain on the roof. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes of her past, the laughter of her in-laws, the moment the shears cut through her hair. But now, between those memories, she saw Jonah's steady gaze, his kindness, his quiet strength. Something about it told her life wasn't over yet. Maybe it was just beginning. Days passed and Jonah kept his word. He gave her space to heal, never prying, never pitying. He showed her how to chop wood, mend fences, milk goats, and even ride the old mare named Daisy. Every morning, he'd tip his hat and say, "Morning, Clara Mae," like it was the most natural thing in the world. Slowly, she began to smile again. Her laughter returned like spring after a long winter. But one evening, as they sat by the fire after supper, Jonah looked at her quietly and said, "You got someone out there who might come looking for you?" She froze. Her hands trembled around the cup of coffee. "No one," she said, "and if they did, I'd rather die than go back." Jonah nodded, his jaw tightening. "Then you won't. You're safe here as long as you want to be." Clara looked into the fire, her eyes glistening. "Why do you care so much, Jonah?" He looked into her eyes and said, "Because no one should have to carry shame for what others did to them. You deserve better." And in that moment, something shifted inside her heart. She wasn't just a broken woman anymore. She was someone seen, someone worth saving. As the camera fades out for the viewers, a narrator's voice would echo, "Sometimes, the people who find us in our lowest moments aren't angels with wings. They're just lonely souls with a heart strong enough to lift ours." If you believe in second chances, hit that subscribe button, because this story isn't over yet.